Yo, what up guys? Jordan Sather here, and in this video, due to the recent upticks and attacks against anti-vaxxers in the mainstream media and the attempts in states around the country to basically remove vaccine exemptions, I want to discuss my top 5 reasons why you should not get vaccinated. Yes, I said it, not a zip, zero, zilch. So let's get started. Reason number 1, because they destroy your immune system. You heard me right. Destroy your immune system. I often call this backwards world because everything that we're taught from authorities or, all those official stories that we get, it's basically backwards from how things really are. And we're told that vaccines are strengthening our immune system. They help us fight off all these diseases. But is that really the case? I mean, when you think about it, we've had these incredible exponential rises in all sorts of immune problems, especially autoimmune disorders, cancers, other dysfunctions like this, correlating with the exponential increase in all the shots that we get in the first 10, 15 years of our life these days. And really, when you think about how the immune system is supposed to function, we have a natural inflammatory response that our body gives off anytime we get pathogens, bad bacteria, viruses inside of our body, whether it gets inside our body from a cut or through the nose, the mouth, the mucosal membranes as they naturally should, we have this inflammatory response that is supposed to be balanced properly. But when we inject these viruses, these DNA strands, and these adjuvants into our blood, right? It doesn't go through those natural processes as they should. It gets right into our blood and it stimulates the immune system. And again, when we get how many shots in the first 10 to 15 years of our life these days, it stimulates your immune system over and over and over again. So what does this do in the long run? We're talking hypersensitivity. We're talking an immune system that can't stay balanced when it's trying to fight off an infection. Anytime you get an infection, it's going to overstimulate and overreact every single time. This is autoimmunity, guys. I mean, I would personally say that vaccines are one of the major causes in this exponential increase in autoimmune dysfunctions. We're talking fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and especially allergies, okay? People's immune systems just overreacting to basically everything these days because they can't stay balanced because we are a highly over-vaccinated society. And when talking allergies, you think of injecting these foreign DNA strands right into our blood. Well, what gets injected into our blood from vaccines? We're talking peanut oil. We're talking egg proteins and a lot of other foreign DNA strands. So with so many kids these days getting peanut allergies, egg allergies, and just random allergies, are vaccines playing a major part in that? Yeah, I think so. Moving on, reason number 2. Not just do vaccines destroy our immune system, but they also destroy our nervous system. Again, talking injection of all these foreign agents right into our blood. And shoot, what are a lot of these foreign agents that have been found in these vaccines? Mercury, aluminum, heavy metals like this, and not just heavy metals, but even nanoparticles. Nanoparticles aren't listed on the ingredients. Don't know whether or not vaccine manufacturers know these nanoparticles are in vaccines, but there has been studies that have shown nanoparticles in vaccines. So we have all of these neurotoxic agents getting injected right into our blood. And again, as I just discussed, it's not going through the natural processes. When you eat foods that might have some aluminum caking agents or something like that within them, at least going through the digestive tract, your body might have a chance to be able to filter some of that out. But again, injecting right into the blood, body can't do that. All that mercury, all that aluminum will get into the blood, will cross the blood-brain barrier and start screwing up your brain, your nervous system. It'll get into the cerebrospinal fluid. And once it gets past that blood-brain barrier, it's very, very tough to get out. And not just do these heavy metals destroy our brains, but they also destroy our kidneys, our thyroid glands, lots of other glands and organs and systems and processes in our body. So the neurotoxic nature of it, gotta reject the poison, guys. Have to reject this poison. Okay, reason number 3 why not to get vaccinated is because there is no liability for the manufacturers of these products. I kid you not. There was literally a vaccine court set up in this country a few decades ago that made it basically impossible for people injured by vaccines to sue the manufacturers. They can't go through the normal federal court system. What they have to do is go through this special vaccine court, get special judges and special people appointed to these courts and then try to sue the manufacturer through it. And let me tell you, it is extremely tough to get a case awarded for you in this court system and any money, any retribution from it. Many, many people have tried. Many, many people have failed. There have been a few cases awarded, but it is a fraction of the overall amount of people who have been injured by vaccines. And you also think a lot of people get injured by vaccines that don't realize they're getting injured by vaccines, right? It's not really within the realm of possibility to them because their belief systems and their perceptions have been all mangled and tangled in their brains from the mainstream media and fake science these days. So a lot of people who get injured by vaccines don't even know. A lot of people who do get injured by vaccines and try to do something about it, nothing gets done. So why should we trust a basically liability-free product from these manufacturers and from these pharmaceutical manufacturers who have an incredibly terrible track record with all their other pharmaceuticals and the revolving door between these pharmaceutical companies and government? Sick game, sick industry Big Pharma is. Okay, moving right through this. Reason number 4 is because of all of the fake science, fake history, fake information we're taught about vaccines. If you think the news is fake, try science, try history, right? I was discussing earlier, do vaccines really reduce disease and strengthen our immune systems? You know, the history we're taught about vaccines in school and from the media, we're taught that vaccines were the reason in the 1950s and 60s and 70s that all these contagious diseases were eradicated. But again, is that really the case? I mean, when you connect the dots and think about it, actually, these diseases, many of them, like whooping cough, like others in the 50s and 60s, they were reducing a lot. Before the vaccines were even introduced to the public, these disease rates were declining. So then what was the actual cause? Looks like they just wrote the history books the way they wanted to falsely attribute vaccines to reducing disease. But again, what was really the cause of these diseases declining? Was it better nutrition? Wow, we had refrigeration systems that could keep food fresher longer. We had highway systems and transportation systems that were able to get food around the country to give people more balanced diets everywhere. And not just that, but better sanitation, better cleaning, better all of this stuff. You know, everything that helps our immune systems actually become balanced and stronger were coming out into the public in the 50s and 60s. We're able to be a stronger, healthier public. Makes sense, right? Disease rates decline. Oh, but then the vaccines introduce, boom. The powers in control write the history books the way they want and start brainwashing the public to make them think it was vaccines that reduce disease. And not just that, but again, all the fake studies, fake statistics, fake science that we're told about vaccines, you got to understand the control that's had by the powers that be, powers in control, whatever you want to call them, the control they have over the education institutions, over the studies that are done. You got to understand how easy it is for these scientists to fabricate studies. And you also have to understand, if they don't do a particular study to get a particular result for whoever's funding them, they lose their grants, they lose their funding, right? There is so much special interest in the healthcare industry that we have, in this pharmaceutical industry, right? And last thing to say on this particular point is that when you study the history of healthcare in this country and education in this country, you go back to the early 1900s and you actually find the same families, the same names, the same industrialist, deep state, oil baron powers, right? Namely the Rockefellers. A lot of people call this the Rockefeller medical system that we have because really the Rockefeller family that helped bump up the AMA, bump up the allopathic pharmaceutical system that we have now in this country in the early 1900s. But it was also the Rockefeller family that funded the General Education Board. Wow. Same families funded the medical industry, pharmaceutical industry, and the education industry. So no wonder that we learn all this false stuff about the pharmaceutical system because it's all bullshit, folks. It's all bullshit. Now, lastly, my 5th reason why not to get vaccinated is because of the thousands and thousands of basically horror stories testimonials that we have from parents around the country of vaccines harming their children, not just harming, but even killing their children. And not just harming their children, but harming themselves as well. I have met people before that have been debilitated, that literally they got a shingles vaccine. This person rolled up to me in a wheelchair. She told me she got a shingles vaccine. Boom, paralyzed her from the waist down basically instantly. And of course, doctors these days, it's just so unfortunate that 99% of doctors are just blissfully ignorant, and they'll disregard people. They won't even listen to people who say that vaccines harm them or they don't trust vaccines, because that's not what they're taught in schools. And they have all this ego because of all the money and all the time they spent in this prestigious higher learning education. And the doctors, they just have inflated egos, so they won't listen to people when they're telling their stories. And my gosh, there are so many stories of harmful things being done by vaccines. And if you've ever had a flu shot before, a really high percentage of people have bad experiences after getting a flu shot. They get incredibly sick. They start getting headaches, might be some encephalitis, brain swelling. That actually happens after a lot of vaccines, is your brain swells, you get a headache. And that's just with the flu shot, right? We could go into all the horror stories about children being maimed and killed from vaccines. So they are incredibly unsafe. They're incredibly ineffective from what we're really told they're supposed to do, right? I went through this list of them harming our immune system, harming our nervous system. They're liability-free products that have harmed so many people throughout the years, more people than the mainstream media and mainstream science establishment will admit. And not just that, but we have so much fake science and fake history out there that we really don't know a damn thing about these vaccines. And what we do know about vaccines is, unfortunately, from the experiences that people have had themselves. How many people they've harmed, how many people they've killed, how many people have gotten sick from them. All of the correlations and causations we're seeing from vaccines harming people's brains, harming people's immune systems, things like this. So, guys, that's my top 5 reasons why not to get vaccinated. Reject the poison and start getting yourself healthy the way we should be, through natural means, through good diets, through herbs and other things that can help your immune system stay balanced, not overreact or underreact, but stay balanced through good sleep, through exercise, through getting out of all the electrosmog, the 4G, 5G, Wi-Fi, getting back into nature, getting back to the way things should be. So that's it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, stay healthy, stay woke. You can find me on jordansather.com. And remember, hit that little subscribe button right up there on my channel. Take care, everybody. Done.